The Favor Ledger. The Real Meaning of Sacrifice. This is a story about the awake explorers, whose 17th awakening adventure begins when a simple favor becomes something neither of them expected, a quiet calculation of who owes whom. As their invisible scorekeeping grows, they discover that giving stops feeling like love the moment it becomes a bargain. The two awake explorers were staying at a small guest house near the coast. One morning, the female explorer stood in the doorway holding 2 grocery bags. "Can you help me carry these upstairs?" The male explorer looked up from his laptop. "I'm in the middle of something." She stared at him. "For 5 minutes?" He sighed, closed the laptop, and took the heavier bag. "Fine." That word followed them upstairs. Fine. At lunch, he asked, "Can you pick up my laundry when you go into town?" She paused. "I suppose." Now it was her turn. Fine. By evening, something invisible had appeared between them. A ledger. He had carried groceries. She had collected laundry. He had changed their reservation. She had waited while he finished a call. He bought coffee. She chose the restaurant he wanted. Neither mentioned the score. Both were keeping it. The next morning he asked, "Would you mind switching seats on the bus? I get motion sickness in the back." She looked toward the window seat she had chosen. Her first thought was immediate. "I already did 3 things for you yesterday." Her smartwatch vibrated. "Course correction. Giving is not sacrifice when you do not use it to create a debt." She read the message, then looked at him. "What? Nothing." "That didn't look like nothing." She showed him the watch. He laughed. "That thing has terrible timing. Actually, I think the timing is the problem." She switched seats, but this time she noticed what happened inside. Part of her gave the seat. Another part wrote it down. "Owes me 1 window seat." She almost laughed. At the next stop, the bus emptied for a break. The 2 explorers sat outside with coffee. She said, "I think we have a problem." "That sounds serious." "We're turning kindness into currency." He leaned back. "Explain." "You carried my groceries and then I felt like I owed you." "You did owe me." She stared. He smiled. "Kidding." "Mostly." He thought about it. "When you picked up my laundry, I definitely felt entitled to ask for something else." "There it is. So what are we supposed to do? Never ask each other for anything?" "I don't think that's it." They sat quietly. A family nearby was sharing sandwiches. A little girl gave half of hers to her brother. He ate it without saying thank you. The girl didn't seem bothered. The male explorer nodded toward them. Terrible accounting. The female explorer smiled. Or no accounting. That landed. They had both believed sacrifice meant giving something up. Time, comfort, money, preference. But maybe the painful part was not always the giving. Maybe it was the secret demand attached to it. "I did this for you. Now remember. Now repay me. Now prove I matter." Later that afternoon, the female explorer wanted to visit a small art market. The male explorer wanted to rest. She almost said, "You owe me. I gave up the window seat." Instead, she stopped. "Do you actually want to come?" "Honestly, no." She noticed the little sting, then something softer. "Okay, I'll go." He looked surprised. "You're not mad?" "I'm experimenting with non-transactional friendship." "That sounds expensive." She laughed. At the market, she wandered alone. She bought a small handmade bowl. On the walk back, she passed a bakery and picked up his favorite pastry. Then she stopped. "Why am I buying this? To be kind? To make him feel guilty for not coming?" She stood on the sidewalk holding the bag. The answer was embarrassingly mixed. She laughed at herself. Then she bought the pastry anyway. Not as proof. Not as payment. Just because she wanted to. When she returned, he had fixed the loose strap on her backpack. She held up the pastry. He held up the backpack. They stared at each other. "Are we doing it again?" he asked. "Maybe." They both laughed. Then she handed him the pastry. "No debt." He handed her the backpack. "No debt." That evening they sat outside watching the sun disappear over the water. The male explorer said, "So sacrifice isn't about never giving something up." "I don't think so. Because sometimes love costs time, or comfort, or the better seat." She smiled, "But the cost becomes suffering when we use it to purchase something from the other person. Approval, gratitude, control, proof of love, repayment." The invisible ledger began to feel ridiculous. The female explorer looked at her watch. No new notification. Good. They had heard enough. The male explorer raised his coffee. "To terrible accounting." She raised hers. "To giving without invoices." They clinked cups. and for the first time in days neither of them owed the other anything.